Welcome. My English is bad. But anyway, we're all very fortunate. Jangye Chenze Ongpo, reincarnation. One of the very handsome and smart Rinpoche. So he will teach today. So I'm very happy. Please enjoy. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'd like to know how many of you already labeling yourself as Buddhist. Can you raise your hand? I just need to know because according to the great Nagarjuna, for those who cherish and venerate wisdom, even though they may have not necessarily but joined a path, spiritual path, it is important to explore the wisdom aspect of the teaching first, and then go back to the basic and start from the beginning. If you are already in the path, then of course we follow as it is in most of the traditional texts, such as this one. So since majority of you seem to have already majority of you seem to have already some familiarity with the Buddha Dharma, I'm going to go through the stanzas just as it is written by the Lama Tsongkhapa. I have received this teaching from Chapji Tengku Chense Rinpoche. Lama Tsongkhapa, as many of you know, is very unique and one of the greatest scholar, saint. At times in Tibet, he was referred as one out of the 3 Manjushiris of Tibet. Lama Tsongkhapa's influence, as many of you know, is enormous. This is one of his early work. And as many of you know, Lama Tsongkhapa also has a strong influence of Kadampa tradition, and you will hear the Kadampa flavor throughout this text. And more than ever, we need the Kadampa approach of mind training at this time and age. So, I take this as a opportunity to accumulate merit for having this occasion to share Lama Tsongkhapa's work with you. Some of you, those who are studying in the Rangjung Yeshi Institute, I'm sure know the phenomena of great Miphampa and Goram Jampa. And if you are, you must be quite familiar with debate or argument between Lama Tsongkhapa and the rest, so to speak. Argument is one of the most precious Indian psychic. It is actually a sober argument is probably one of the most important approach to the study of Buddhism. And if you are, and I stress the word sober, if you look at the argument between, for instance, Gorampa and Lama Tsongkhapa and Mipham Rinpoche's, you will notice Lama Tsongkhapa actually represents some of the most subtle, most important habitual pattern that we so cherish, that need to be discussed and that need to be refined. And that's important. That's really important. Actually, the debate between the philosophical system of India, if you look at it, I don't know so much about other religion, but if you look at the argument and the debate between so-called Hinduism, by the way, the word Hinduism is invented by Abrahamic people. There is no such word as Hindu in the entire Indian philosophical system. It's invented by the Abrahamic people. Anyway, if you look at study and the argument between so-called Hinduism and Jainism and Buddhism, they are priceless. They are priceless, so precious. You should not treat them as some kind of a war between two religions that is fought for territory, quantity of wives, and certain hang-ups. Jainism, Buddhism, and Hinduism is not a mere survival kit that is given to a specific tribes. Anyway, let's go back to tune myself into the actual text. Jizun lama namla chat salos. So first stanza, as usual, we find venerations to the Guru. We offer our venerations to the Guru. Now this is another important. It's not really a culture actually, but it is now perceived as a culture. So, for the sake of conversation, let's say this is one of the most important culture, if you like, in Buddhism and Hinduism or Jainism, venerations to the Guru. In the Indian philosophical system, there is something called Guru Shiksha Parampara, which is something unfortunately dying today. But if you can understand the value of the Guru and disciple, or the Guru and student relationship, if you are looking for liberation, then Guru-disciple phenomena or the Guru-student phenomena is probably one of the most indispensable. But if you are only looking for knowledge, or if you are looking for a temporary feel-good kind of satisfaction, then of course Guru is probably the worst news. Even to have a weekend holiday in somewhere like Bali or Hawaii with your beloved one, somehow you will end up in some kind of argument. And having a companion called Guru from now till forever is just, the very idea is daunting. But if you are looking for a liberation, Guru is must. And as Lama Tsongkhapa will say right after this text is dedicated for those who wish to find the liberation, assuming, first and most importantly, we offer our venerations to the Guru. And this is, of course, by the author, but of course, this also applies to you and me, who is discussing this today, if we are looking for liberation. And this is very clearly stated right after this. Javi sungrap kunji ningbidun jase tamba namjing harbilam kanden thande namji jungode jitar nujin dagi shabarcha. If the fortunate being kanden thande namji jungode, if you are this fortunate being whose sole purpose of pursuing the path is liberation. Now this is a big statement. It's easy to say this, but to really mean it is difficult. Many of us here, including myself, we are not really looking for liberation. Most of us, we are consciously or unconsciously looking for satisfaction, some sort of a gratification, satisfaction, happiness. And this is where, comments like Buddhism is a vehicle to happiness is very dangerous. It may be kind of it might create goosebumps when you read in Times magazine, if you are a Buddhist, wow, Buddhism, happiness, non-violence. Buddhism, non-violence, happiness, these are all almost like a synonymous, but this is dangerous. Buddhists don't care about non-violence, ultimately. Buddhists don't care about happiness. It should not. Buddhists should care about liberation. That's more important. What is non-violence? It's only for people who comes from Cape Town or Scotland or Byron Bay. So liberation, those who are seeking the liberation, for them I, Tsongkhapa, according to the great Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, according to the path that is praised by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, I, Tsongkhapa, shall try to express this here. Such stanzas, as many of Rangjung Yeshe Institute students will know, is again another Indian habit. There's always the veneration, and then there's something called Tsompar Tamchawa, which is sort of pledging to write a text or pledging to do something. And it is actually a very wholesome activity, especially prescribed and encouraged for the bodhisattvas. You know, bodhicitta is, to the certain extent, the bodhicitta is a pledge, aspiration, if you like. The pledge or the aspiration moves, drives. It is a driving force to do whatever we like, actually, not just the enlightened activities, but any other activities. You need that drive. And especially one that wishes to pursue the path of the Mahayana, Bodhisattvayana path, must always generate this pledge or aspiration or promise. So, accordingly, you will find this kind of Tsompar Tamchawa. I'm sure many of you know. It's like pledging to write this. You will find this in many of the Indian classical texts, and therefore the Tibetans later also followed that tradition. I've read Jain teachings, and it's almost identical. That's how they write. They venerate to the gurus, and then they pledge to write the holy text. Kanda sibidela machashing tanjur tön chachir tsombai jawaji bi lamla yi tembi kalden deda tangyi jinyan. This is stress, emphasized again what we have just discussed. If I make my own commentary, so to speak, here Lama Tsongkhapa is saying, this text is written for three kind of people, or people who have three kind of attitude, at the least. Kanda sibidela machashing. One, and most importantly, is those who this text is written for, or the taught for, type of people who ultimately doesn't give a damn about samsaric values. Ultimately, of course, for the time being, it is impossible for us to, act like, like if you bring a fresh grass in front of a tiger will, like ignore. I don't think we can do that right now when the worldly phenomena such as this, that I'm stirring, there is that, desire and all of that. But even if you have this ability to give, to really not make big deal out of this samsaric values, ultimately. In other words, Lama Tsongkhapa is talking about a renunciation mind, revulsion. As long as you think that samsaric life, worldly life, has some sort of a, ultimate value, this text is not for you. As long as you think that all the misgivings that we have been having, and as long as we think that somehow these misgivings can be fixed, that it can be mended, this text is not for you. If you have this attitude, okay, let's say you are plumbing, your plumbing system is not working, or your sewage system is not working in your bathroom, and your attitude is, oh well, let's scotch tape it. You understand? Let's scotch tape it, let's glue it. Anyway, if I can use it for maybe like 2 days, fair enough. Now this text is for you. But if you think that my house, my family, my beloved one, I can fix it, I can really, one day I will live happily forever and have a big family group photograph, as in Bollywood films, usually, towards the end. As long as you have that, this text is not for you. But as long as you think, no matter what, I am stained permanently with a disease that can never be cured. I am permanently, forever damaged. I can sort of mend a little bit. Actually, can you now see why the Tibetans and the Indians and the Nepalese are not so good with maintenance? Probably it's this influence of such teachings. They have that attitude, like, oh well, I'm serious. I'm sure this kind of psyche gets influenced by this kind of, teachings, impermanent. But anyway, you have to have that kind of, that it's not going to work. We are, the moment you stumble out of your mother's womb, moment you stumble out of that, the doom began. This is why the Nagarjuna's letter to his friend Deju Sangpo, he said, how usually we always consider the death as the worst news, but according to the Nagarjuna, he said to his friend, yes, of course, death is not good, but there's something worse, and that's called birth. Make sure that you don't reborn again. That was his message by Nagarjuna to Deju Sangpo. As soon as we stumble out of mother's womb, we are in a place where we have to live with permanently damaged, and it's going to get worse, basically, for most of us, quicker than the others. For them, so if you can think like that, this text is for you. This Lama Tsongkhapa's advice is written for you. And then also, this text is written for someone who cherishes. Okay, we talked kind of negatively about our life, but then immediately, juxtaposing what we have just discussed, cherishing this ability that we have as a human. You know, we as a human, we have so much ability. For instance, the idea of having an address, that is an amazing ability. That you can find things, you understand, an address. Just so many things that we have to label. I don't know, measurements. We have the ability to save food for tomorrow. Many beings don't have that. Many beings, they just have to eat whatever they encounter there and then, because next we don't know. Next, they may never find the food. But most of the beings like us, you and me, human beings, we have amazing ability. Amazing, actually, so amazing. And out of the amazing ability that we have, we are probably not even using the 1% of our ability. In fact, most of our ability is being misused. So, this text is written for those who cherishes this ability. Cherishes, but also with a sense of urgency. You know, we don't have much time. Good old 50 years is gone for some of us. That's half a century. To live, a century old is difficult. Life ebbs away faster than we think. So thinking, this way, if you think of impermanence, all the more reason to cherish this human ability that we have. So much ability. Among many abilities that we human beings have, we have the ability to self-contemplate, aware of oneself. Now, that is quite an amazing ability. Actually, that is the supreme-most ability that we have. We can actually be aware of our own thoughts. Many beings don't. Even the gods, devas, they don't. They don't have this ability. But we do. We have so many. I don't know, not just mentally, but even biologically, there is a lot of condition that makes us, that has the, that has the facility or faculties that creates the faculties or the facilities or a condition to be aware of oneself, such as wasabi. the more, that it would just, bring you right there. And yes, even romance, love, songs, poetries, all this mushy, touchy-feely stuff that we do have, those are the closest thing, and then ability to, for many of us, ability to orgasm, ability to, enjoy the so-called bliss out of the friction, stuff like that. So there's so many abilities, and that need to be cherished with a sense of urgency. So for those kind of people, this is written. The third one, much grander. The first one is someone who is bit wary and bit suspicious about the samsara. The second one is appreciating the human ability. The third one is a very grand attitude, really grand attitude, Mahayana attitude. Java jebilamna yitambe. Someone who is interested to follow the path that Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas in the past and the present and also in the future likes or pursue. That's a very grand attitude. We are talking about Mahayana basically. Doesn't matter whether you are in the samsara or not. Okay, my precious human body, it may be damaged, it may be misused, but one thing that we really want to sort of spend our life is to pursue the path that is followed and being followed by the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, meaning benefiting sentient beings. So those who wish to benefit sentient beings, those who are not only putting everything in self-cherishing path, but those who wish to cherish others. So for those, this text is written. So that's what he's saying here. So if you have that kind of attitude, with a clear, sober, unbiased mind, listen. And this is, again, every word Tsongkhapa chose is very important, such as Dangwi Yijinyon. You don't have to believe, you don't have to be blindly, sucking into this. You have to be, you can read, with a clear mind. Listen to this. Namda nginjung me par sinsoi dendre tönir shiwi tamela sila kamba yijang lujenam gyuni chingjir thongmar nginjung tsal. Okay. This text is called Lamjitso Namsum, Lamtso Namsum. 3 principles of the path. And briefly, they are renunciation mind, bodhicitta, and understanding the dependent arising or emptiness. these three principles are indispensable to make the Mahayana path. So I will just first go through the stanzas, and then we can come back to the sort of the connection of these three principles. Probably you will get it as we go through, but if you find it, there's no reason why it's the text is so clearly put together. But if you like, and if you have time, we could discuss relation, the relationship or connection with these three. It's very very clearly there. Okay. Namda ninjung me per sinsoi dendre tönir shivit thamela. Again, seemingly repetition, but it's not really a repetition. We are emphasizing this. But probably I will have to say this one first before we embark on the text. Because here we are beginning with a renunciation. And then you will hear words like dende tönir shivit thamela, like longing for liberation. Words like a longing for liberation can be at times, quite a lot of times, misleading. So here, for those who are, especially those who are already well informed about the Mahayana Sutras and Shastras, you should hear this information, which is, it's important for the Mahayana people to know that nirvana or the liberation is longingable. Is there such English word? Not longable. You know, longing. Yeah, you cannot. It's liberation is not longingable. Okay, let's invent a word. English is fine. You cannot long. It's in the Mahayanas, again, another set of three principles, which is, you know, jitsema meba, lam memba meba, debu memba meba, jitongpani, lam tsema meba, debu memba meba. The result is beyond aspiration. Sometimes it is termed as. So, because it's yes, you cannot long for the enlightenment. Okay? So, then what is the path for? If you can't long for the enlightenment, what is the path for? That's a simple question. Path is there because even though the result, enlightenment, is not longingable, you made a mistake by longing the worldly life, the worldly values. That's what you did. So this is why this is one angle. Okay, this is one angle. There's many different angles to reach here. So you cannot long the enlightenment, but there is a path because you long for things that should only be scotch taped, but you didn't. You are trying to fix it permanently. So we need to liberate you, all of us, you including me. We need to liberate ourselves from this delusion that all these things can be fixed permanently. And this is what we call liberation. So this has been stated many times in the Mahayana Shastras and the Sutras. I mean, the one famous one is Nagarjuna's Kora Mimik Nyangin Kora Pangpachurpa Nyangin de Bachimiji Kora Mimik Nyangin de Bachinishi. Nagarjuna's praise to the Buddha, which says, Buddha, I praise you, and who didn't teach us that there is nirvana by abandoning the samsara, but who taught us the very non-existence of the samsara is the nirvana, so on and so forth. There's so many of this. So we are basically talking the same thing. Okay, so if we go back to the stanza, then namda ngenjung me pasin so dendre tonir jivi thamela. We are, okay, for the sake of communication, we are longing for peace, we are longing for bliss, the nirvana, but that can only happen by generating genuine renunciation and revulsion towards this vast and deep ocean of samsara. Because until then, if you carry on with a strong attachment to this illusion of samsara, it will only bind you. So therefore, one who wishes to follow the path must first search for renunciation mind. Even the word ngenjung tsal, even the word tsal is such a right choice of word by Lama Tsongkhapa. Tsal meaning search for the renunciation mind. It won't come right away. You have to search. You have to tell yourself. You have to educate. You have to gather influence. You have to pray. You have to long to not long the samsara. This is what, this, didn't I say at the beginning? You will hear a lot of flavor of kadamba. And here is another one. You have to, long to not long the samsaric values. Tanjur nika tsela long meba, yila kombe tsendin hangshin hong. Nangshe do. Lende milu korbi dunghanam, yang sambi chimin nangshe do. Dadar kombe korbi pinsola, yimin kechik zamyan mi cheshing, yinsen kundu tarba denyerlo, jungna desek ni jung chepala. And here, Lama Tsongkhapa gives us few tips on how to generate this renunciation mind. Never forget this precious human ability is difficult to obtain again and again. It's almost like once in a blue moon. we have it. Kind of. We don't know whether we have completely, but I think we do. We kind of there's so many better things to do than this, but we are still here. So must mean either you are trying to finish your dissertation or that you are some sort of longing for way out, so to speak. So let's assume that we do have this kind of ability, human ability, and this is difficult to obtain it again and again. And on top of that, our life is completely impermanent. We are certainly going to die, that's for sure, but that's not the worst news. Even worse than the certainty of the death is uncertainty when it will come. That's the worst, actually. Yes, we are all going to die. That's kind of, you have to take that one. But when we are going to die, that we don't know. And that's the most depressing part. That need to be thought of again and again. If you think this again and again, then amazing word, choice of words again. Then you will not, at the moment, tsendi means this life. It's more than this life, actually. Most of us, we only think what is in front of us. Or sometimes in the Tibetan, we call it surol thongwa. Surol means this side, not beyond this side. Parol, paramita similar. Surol is this side. We only think of this side. We only have this zone. We have a certain zone. We only think this way. And as I always say, we only think in terms of a certain logic, like 4 + 4 is 8. Never we go beyond. Oh, it could be 5. That's unheard of. That's like breaking a big rule of this zone. So we have this continuous making big deal out of what we see right in front of you. Now, by contemplating on the precious human body and the impermanence of our life, this then become fragile. It's a bit like this. If you know you are going to die in 2 days, for sure, okay? 2 days, that's it. Would you still iron your underwear? Would you still go through your Facebooks? Or a lot of things, or there's things that you do. And if there's somebody comes, somebody with authority says, oh, actually you can have another extra day, would you want it? Developing this kind of awareness of precious human body and impermanence gradually divert ourselves from making big deal out of what is in front of you. What is just this, this side. Okay, so that's one. That's Lama Tsongkhapa's, suggestion for generating the renunciation. Then lende mi lukhurwi dunghanam yangyang sambe chimin angshedo. then in order to, again, this is another big one. Not only we should not be making big deal out of what is in front of you, this life, but actually as a follower of the Mahayana path, we should not be making a big deal out of what is next life. That is also not, that should not be in your agenda. Good life, higher rebirth, becoming a tulku, blah, 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 all of that should not be in your agenda. Liberation is all you should be carrying. Not only your own liberation, but the liberation of all sentient beings. So how do we do that? Think about power of karma and the downfall of samsara, downfall of our life, the worldly existence. Power of karma, that is a very big one. Basically, none of us is free from conditioning. We are all conditioned. Whatever you are thinking right this very moment, even though it is most mundane thought, it is because of a certain condition. You think we think we are independent and we are free? Never. There is no freedom. We are terrorized under the tyranny, under the dictatorship of conditioning. All of us, from the anarchist, existentialist, to the Mahayana, Vajrayana practitioners, all of us, we are all under the influence of condition. And that is so, what do you call it? If you think about that, then you won't have much appetite for a better future. You know, we are talking about the future right now, right? We already talked about this one. We are preparing for the future. So he's talking here. Think about the karma. Then your appetite for better future will dismantle. And that's important. And this, if you think about these again and again and again, you will have less and less aspiration for the worldly goods. In fact, you won't have any desire. And then, day and night, every moment, you will only long to get out of this net of delusion. And this is an indication that you have achieved ngenjung or renunciation. That's one principle. ngenjung te namda semcheji simba mena lame changchupji phunso devi juru minjurbe loden namji changchup semcho che. This is amazing. If, say you have generated this kind of renunciation mind, this kind of revulsion towards the samsaric life, perfectly, quite, strongly. But if you are lacking the bodhicitta, then such kind of renunciation in mind is just pain in the ass. It's really, totally a cause of depression. It's a dead end. Things doesn't work. To the certain extent, a lot of modern people have that kind of renunciation mind, like nothing works, life has no meaning. As soon as the effect of the substance is diminishing, again back to the hollow life. No purpose. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Again tomorrow the same thing. Friends, done this, done that, been there, been here, been everywhere. Still the same thing. Multi-brands of moisturizers has been used. Still, the true color and the nature of the skin exhibits more and more every day. Width and the breadth of the type of men and women that we date gets bigger and bigger. We are less and less fussy, anything will do, kind of. And nothing satisfies us kind of deeply. We had to try all kinds of gadgets. Even cheese graters as part of the foreplay game. Still, we have become so numb. Our sensitive spots have basically forever disappeared. All the should not be sensitive have become completely exposed. So even sight and the smell of something annoys you, etc., etc. When these things happen. But anyway, that's not the renunciation mind that's not the renunciation mind we are trying to achieve or cultivate. But anyway, here he's even though you have the renunciation mind, if you don't have the bodhicitta, that kind of renunciation mind will not be the cause of liberation of oneself and others. In fact, it will just make you depressed. Therefore, wise ones, smart people should plant the bodhicitta mind. So how do we do that? How do we develop the bodhicitta? Shukta choji junji shir doka leji chingwa tambedam danzin chaji to pusuju marim machine kunit mume sibarji chawaru dunghar simji junche mepar nar nekam dinjar chibi manamji ngangsur samne semcho chabar zos. To generate this bodhicitta, we need to think about the situation and the state of the samsaric beings, including oneself. We need to be aware of that first. And what are they? Briefly, Lama Tsongkhapa clearly presents here. We are being swayed and carried without any control by the four currents, river. We have no control. We have, you're carried, swept, swayed, drifted by four currents. And they are birth, old age, sickness, and death. These four G7 meetings, United Nations, United this, President this, Prime Minister this, Guru that. None of this can control this four current. None. If we cannot even, forget about controlling. If we can't stir a little bit this four currents of birth, old age, sickness, and death, the whole point of conferences, summits, is useless. For ecology, for world peace, for, trade. It's useless. All these structures is complete joke. Like United Nations, this, that, society. Probably, red light and green light, it's okay, But here it doesn't work so much also. Some of them. Because the root of the problem, the machine of our suffering is this current, this four current, the birth, old age, sickness, and death. That we can't do anything. Can we have a summit about, birth? We cannot. Can we have a summit and a conference about how to age wisely? There is a lot, but they're just... When you age, you will age. Death, sickness. People who come from Singapore, Switzerland, all these developed countries, those who are supposedly have the state-of-art medical system, they are the most sick people sometimes. They are the most unhealthy, they're complete hypochondriac. Street kids here running around, rolling in the, dust, garbages. I don't know whether they even have a flu. They don't seem to cough even. Have you seen a beggar coughing? You have to wait a long time, I think. We cannot have summits. We cannot have conferences on those things. Those current, when they come, when they flood, and they do all the time, it's not as if they're not now, they're going to come one of these days. It's not that it's coming, it's flowing, it's running right now. So, we are being swayed, controlled by these currents. We are being bound by amazingly tight rope of our own cause and condition, karma. And then the worst of all, these two are not that bad, but the worst is we are trapped in the casket of the iron-made casket of clinging to the self, cherishing the self. And therefore, we are under the darkness of ignorance. And endlessly we take birth. Endlessly we die. And therefore we go through the suffering of change, and all pervasive suffering. Endlessly. looking at these situations and the appearance of oneself and all sentient beings, one must generate the bodhicitta. Okay, let's take a break. It's getting a little stuffy.
In one stanza is written about emptiness and interdependence of Tsongkhapa, because I studied with my first Lama was on Geshe Gelupa with very good qualities. Can you explain please how is conceived emptiness and interdependence in Tsongkhapa system and in Kagyu Nyingma system? Because actually this is one of the main points. It is said here that if one does realize only emptiness, the things are beyond the assertions, and separately one realizes interdependence, without unifying them, one cannot realize perfect Buddhahood. Can you explain some interesting particulars about it?
In regard to this text, I read something. Yes, with regard to this text, I think I can confidently tell you almost no difference, and I'm using the word almost just in case. And I have also mentioned earlier that this is a Tsongkhapa's early work. So that please make a note of that if you are a Rangjung Yeshe Institute student. Because that has an implication. Because I'm not being chauvinist here, the Tsongkhapa was a Sakyapa. Yeah. Because he was one of the main disciples of Jitun Reddawa. So the expressions that are found in these early texts are very identical to the Sakyapa. And again, I'm using the word identical. Make note of that.
So I was wondering if it's possible to go the Shravaka path without losing bodhicitta. You know, keeping in mind that you, at some stage, you will arise from being an arhat and enter the Mahayana.
Asking?
Yeah, basically because it's always kind of people you want not to lose bodhicitta, but still it's kind of difficult. And it seems to be much easier to go the Shravaka path.
As a bodhisattva, joining a Mahayana path, as a bodhisattva, for the sake of all the sentient beings, you can do whatever you like. Sharvakayana, Mormons, Jehovah's Witness, whatever you like.
That's good news. Thank you.
And you should, you are also allowed, as a bodhisattva, for the benefit of sentient beings, you are also encouraged to hide that you are even a Buddhist. And that could be happening everywhere. Any more?
Hello, Rinpoche, I have a serious question for you. If you really only have 2 days to live, what are you going to do?
What, me? I think I would not know until the last minute of the second day. Yeah, I'd be so freaked out. And then, that's it? Any more? Yeah?
Rinpoche, thank you for coming here today. I know we all appreciate it very much. This line that we should be, or those who are unattached to samsara's pleasures. And then the next line, strive to make full use of the freedoms and advantages. You spoke of cherishing the abilities that we have. Some of those abilities are to appreciate poetry, music, have orgasm. What is the difference between appreciating such abilities and being attached to samsara's pleasures? Those seem like samsaric pleasures.
No, I was just saying, we have so much ability. That ability is priceless. Many people don't have that. And we are misusing it, or most part we are not even using it. So instead of, misusing it or wasting it by doing things that we do in the worldly, following the worldly pursuit, Lama Tsongkhapa and many other masters are saying that why not really look inside, contemplate, think about the fault of the samsara, think about the impermanence of life, so on and so forth. That's the good usage. Many beings don't have the abilities that we have. I think according to the Mahayana, there are sutras that says one of the most precious ability of human being is understanding the suffering. Understanding the suffering with sort of an appropriate portion. This is quite an important remark. Like if you are born in a hell realm or hungry ghost, the proportion is so big, you become numb. Somehow human beings, especially those who have a precious human body, one of the faculties you have suffering, but you don't sort of have extremely, so to speak. This is also the decision why the Shakyamuni Buddha decided to come manifest as the Shakyamuni Buddha during the time of Mother, Kapila Vastu, Mangada, all of that, because if it was before that age, the human beings were having too much good time, like God realms. And some of you may think that my mentioning of orgasm and stuff like that may be kind of like just as part of the manner of the speech or whatever. But it could be. But also from the tantric point of view, it's actually quite important remark, because from the tantric point of view, if you don't have or you have not had the ability to experience this ecstasy, you are not a vessel for the many of the abhishekas that we receive. So from that point of view, also precious human, this body is so precious. There are many different ways to understand the precious human body, from the Sharvakayana way, from the Mahayana way, from the Vajrayana way. Okay. So we will continue. Neluk to be sharab midena nginjung changchup samla gom jejang sibitsawa jebar minube techir tender to be tablambe. If we don't have the wisdom, even though we may have renunciation mind, and even though we have some kind of aspiration bodhicitta, this will still, you are still not equipped with a weapon to cut the root of the delusion. Therefore, a wise follower of the path must pay attention or put effort in understanding the dependent arising. I think by now you should know the connection with these three. Like if you don't have the renunciation mind, meaning you are still attached to the worldly life, then you will not even begin to long for the nirvana anyway. So therefore, renunciation is necessary, renunciation mind. And then just mere renunciation mind is not going to liberate us. In fact, it could actually bind us painfully. Therefore, bodhicitta is necessary. So now here, just the renunciation mind and the bodhicitta alone is not capable to uproot the samsara. Therefore, understanding and therefore the cultivation of wisdom is at most important, and therefore we need to generate the condition to understand the dependent arising, because the dependent arising is the key to cultivate the wisdom. Okay, so now we are explaining this briefly more. Kanshik konde chönam tamjeji junde namyang luwa methongsing mikbi teso kanyi kunshikba teni sanje jebi lamna shuk. And I think I should read the next set of stanzas also. Nangwa tende luwa mepatang tongpa kelendre goani jisi sosor nangwa desidu dadung tubi gomba toko me. Again, namshik renjok mepa chikchardu tendel milur tonga tsamyene ngeshe yurji zintang kunshina dese tabi jeba zokala. Again, yenyang nangwe yonta sabadang tongpe meta serjing tongpa ni yudang debur chabi tsushina tanzin tabi chobar minjuros. Briefly, when we experience things, we ordinary beings, when we experience things, I don't know, tea, coffee, whatever, music, life, relationship, political system, whatever, when we are experiencing something, there's always a logic, kind of a logic and an order. Okay, plant marigold, marigold comes. Plant mango, mango comes. Only if there's appropriate cause and conditions. Like when you have marigold planted, earth, water, fertilizer, whatever, plowing, no goats, stomping over it, I don't know, things like that. When all the cause and conditions are together, even if you pray for no marigold, it won't work. Marigold comes. This is the order, and there is always an order here. Order, chaotic, of course, but orderly. There's always an order. Now, this is how we, as ordinary human beings, this order is used as a tools to prove that things exist. You understand? That's how we approach. But for the Buddhist, for the Mahayanist, for the Madhyamika people, the very reason of this order is used to prove that things does not exist. I think this is something that you need to sort of get familiar with before you to understand this, these stanzas. The very reason we use to prove that things are solid, tangible, permanent, things are, independent, is the very reason to prove that things does not exist. Things are not permanent, so on and so forth. And this is the magic of Buddhism, especially Mahayana. It is incredible. This is, and especially, well, of course, this is not the right time to talk, but this wealth of magic is what is being galvanized by the tantric people. They love it. They love this game. But this is kind of, okay. I can't find any other better, example. So I'm overusing this, and I will overuse this again and again. Rainbow is what has been used by many in the past, many texts, and it always works. Rainbow, and also your reflection of your face in the mirror might do. Cause and conditions are together. Your face, the mirror, clear mirror, your face, looking at it. Of course, if you are not looking at it, we don't know whether there is a reflection of you in the mirror. You can always guess, but that's another phenomena. Someone can see your reflection in the mirror, that's their phenomena. Got nothing to do with you. But you looking at the mirror again and again, every day, only your face appears. Not a banana, not a mango. And this puzzles, this makes you confirm that your face exists. Because if occasionally banana appears or then you will think, oh, wait a minute, maybe I don't have a face. Maybe actually these things doesn't work. Actually, maybe I'm not here. But that's not the case. Every day there is an order, there is a logic. So this makes us, these are the reasons that we sort of use to prove our own existence. That's a lot, huh? Our existence of everything, existence of our pain, existence of our pleasure, our existence of everything, our ideas, our values, everything. We try to sort of prove its existence using that. Rainbow, the same thing. Moisture, rain, a certain angle of sun rays, and a person who's observing it. The distance, of course, matters. If you are too close to the rainbow, I don't think you see it. So you have to have an appropriate distance. All of that, there's a rainbow. But the rainbow as solid, tangible phenomena does not exist. Now, these people are saying that everything that we experience, everything, even the seemingly most obvious and tangible phenomena such as wasabi, they are as illusory, as intangible, as fleeting as the rainbow situation here. And there's something so beautiful here, and this is stated clearly at the last stanza. You see, when the color and the order of the rainbow, the color and the shape, rainbow always has a standard shape. It doesn't suddenly go, like different way. Color and the shape of the rainbow, that order, that rule, that regulation, that order does not negate the illusory aspect of the rainbow, does it? It does not. At the same time, the illusory aspect of the rainbow does not negate the order, the rules, the color. There's always this sort of The rainbows always have a standard color. You know, that green, the yellow, it actually has a color system. Illusory, the rainbow is illusion, but that illusory aspect does not negate. So that nothingness does not negate something, that something does not negate that nothing. This magical union of nothingness and somethingness is what needs to be understood. And when you understand that, that is called the wisdom. What does it help? A lot. A lot. You will then become like the mother who takes your kid to the weekend beach side, build a big castle of sand, participate, cry, laugh, enter the sand castles, go out of the sand castles, pretend of course, but the baby, for them, this is it. And then as a mother, you participate. And when the time comes, you have to give pithy instructions to the baby and saying, it's time to go home. And you do it with a lot of skills, lot of compassion, and you try to distract the baby from the sandcastle to some other rattling machine or I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter, another. And that's called path. Path is a sort of endless, toys that are designed by the great, great toy inventors such as Naropas, Telopas, oh my goodness, so many, amazing. If you can only read the conversation after so many years of beating up and abusing by Telopa to Naropa, suddenly at the bank of the Ganges bank, side of the Ganges river, Telopa tapped Naropa's shoulder and said, hey, listen, boy, child, he called him. And then he gave the great Mahamudra teaching that is known as Chachen Gangama, the Mahamudra of the Ganges. Just that alone is incredible. That we, the children of the Naropas of this age, are so amazed, so much merit that there was such a great toy inventor. It's a necessity. Because, conditions, cause, happens. Our mind changes. Our value changes. And we need to lead ourselves. Something need to lead us to the right direction. Okay, so so this is what the kanji condition of tamji junde namyang thua method. So cause and condition and effect. The rule game of that is never deceiving. Marigold, marigold. Marigold, not a chili. You understand? That is undeceiving. Yet, that non-deceiving law and the rules and the order of cause and condition makes us realize that nothing is tangible and solidly or truly existing. Understanding that is Sanjay J.P. Lamdaji, right at the beginning, he's saying this text is written for those who wishes to follow the path that makes the Buddhas happy. So this is what he's saying. This is what Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the past have enjoyed this path, this magic that we have been talking about. Appearance, all this appearance, these dependent arising, these are all dependent arising, these are non-deceiving, yet they cannot be pinpoint, they cannot be solidified, you cannot many of the students here, you have heard this, like like expressions like this. We have no thesis, therefore we are innocent, or we are free from faults. Yeah, same thing here. Basically, we are talking about the Madhyamika in its nutshell. But you see that there's the big mistake for us, generally sentient beings. When we see the appearance, we get robbed by the appearance and forget the illusion. When we see the illusion, we get robbed by the illusion and we forget the appearance. This is very clearly talked by the Kunchen Longchenpa. This is so, like we see the emptiness aspect of certain things, and then we become nihilist. No karma, no past life, no future life, no Buddha nature, none of the things. Even the Buddhist, I have to say, many of you must be aware of this. Even many Buddhists shy away talking from reincarnation. Many British Buddhists, if you want to narrow down, I will narrow down more if you like. And many so-called Theravadan, the new Theravadan, and even some of the Mahayanis, even the Zen, they shy away from, the moment they talk about reincarnation, they try to sort of make the conversation short, or there's another trick they use. It's a Tibetan thing. This is totally wrong. See, they are shying away from the reincarnation because they are swayed by the illusion. Remember, rainbow does not exist as a tangible entity, but that does not negate the appearance of this beautiful rainbow so that all these Cape Town people can go bananas. It works. It is so beautiful. So many poetries have been written. So many lovers have completely, blindly fallen in love just because of a stupid, pathetic rainbow. So many so-called spiritual people have been inspired by the rain shining of the, oh, he must be special. There was a rainbow. Blah, blah, blah. All of that. It has worked like that. Many Buddhists, I'm telling you, even great ones, great beings, they have shied away from talking about the reincarnation. I have heard some great Zen masters said that when we die, we will all get immersed with this atmosphere and become oneness. It's absolutely wrong. If we become immersed to this atmosphere, if that's the only thing we have, then why not go and rob a bank? What are we doing here? We are missing a lot of fun. As long as you are not caught by the authority, we should sell cocaine, we should murder, we should do whatever we like. Karma, reincarnation, this illusion does exist as an illusion. And when it comes to you, it will bear pain. Even though it is an illusion, it is painful. So, anyway, that's beside the point, okay? I'm getting carried away here a little bit. Because I'm hearing this more and more, and I really detest violently British Buddhist. Okay, maybe I must admit there's a little bit of a fault in the Tibetan reincarnation system, because Tibetan tulkus and the reincarnation have really corrupted. Basically, it's becoming a bit of a joke. So that may have destroyed the philosophy of, but the philosophy, the scientific reality of reincarnation. Here, this is as simple as this. As a human being, do you believe in tomorrow? Well, if you do, then you should believe in reincarnation, because there is absolutely no difference. Never in the whole sutras and the shastras, Buddha have said there is a reincarnation ultimately. Never. Ultimately, nothing exists. Relatively, if you negate reincarnation, you might as well join certain group which I will not mention. Anyway. Anyway, a path dweller who gets acquainted with such wisdom again and again and again and again, then one day, this practitioner, the moment you experience the appearance or whatever the experience you are having, see, it says, "Tente milu thonga tsam yine ngeshe yuji zintang kunshina tesetabi jeba zokpala." The moment you see or experience whatever you are experiencing, whatever you are seeing, whatever you are hearing, at that time, if you don't have any more clinging, you see, when the mother sees the sand castle, she doesn't see it as a, castle, I have to now clean, I have to, iron the tablecloth. It's a game. But she does not also blatantly reject or negate when there's the babies. Oh, yeah, let's go into the castle, and all the, paraphernalia between, mother and the baby happens. Likewise, the moment you see and moment you experience whatever you are experiencing, when you have that kind of attitude, no clinging, not making a big deal, actually much more than that, then Lama Tsongkhapa says, at that time, that's the end of the analysis of view. And then you will not, and then the last line is, then it's at that time you will not be robbed by extreme view. That's important in Buddhism. One should not to becoming extremist. When you see the color of the rainbow and get distracted by the color and the order and its shape, you have become, and forget the illusory aspect, you have become extremist. When you think about the illusory aspect of the rainbow and forget its beauty and its, the power and its magic, and you have become extremist. But when you see the rainbow, you enjoy the rainbow, yet you know what is there or not there, you have accomplished the analysis of the view that is taught by the Buddha. Tadra lamji tso onam sumji nenam rangi chishin tokbese. Wembatin the 20 topchina tenji duman you the tushik boos. So this three principle of path, understanding the points of these, first hearing, then contemplating, and then isolating yourself from all sorts of distractions and generating the diligence, you will then eventually reap the profit or the harvest that will be the source of happiness to oneself and all others. Well, that's Shepadini Mandu de Bigilon Losan to Pipaji, Tsako Embung Awanta Badadampabo. So it's written by the Losan to advise, I think his nephew or maybe younger brother. Anyway, as cornered and lured and commanded by Chogyam Rinpoche, I have finished creating this karmic link or debt, probably, with you. If there's any merit we dedicate this to the longevity of all the bodhisattvas that are known and unknown. Thank you.
I'd just like to thank you on behalf of everyone at Rangju Yeshe Institute and all of us here who've received your teachings. They're a great blessing, and we hope that you'll come back and teach for us in future whenever it's convenient for you. Please, thank you.
Okay, I will go now. I was told there's some people want to do qadar and stuff like that. No need. And those things take so much time, and just the unfolding and the folding of the qadar is, I don't know. Okay, thank you.